Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Nerdy Movie News Roundup. This is the show where we round up all, and I do mean all, of the latest news in the world of nerdy movies. Got a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff to get to, so why not just jump right into it? So, we are going to start off by watching a clip from John Roca's channel. He broke a story about Paradise Lost. If you don't remember Paradise Lost, it was supposed to be DC's Game of Thrones show. They announced it back at that DC slate announcement that James Gunn made. That is just every day not coming to fruition, it seems like. But let's watch this clip here, and then we'll talk about it.
So, cut to today, and let me say that sources are telling me that DC was meeting with writers for Paradise Lost, was taking pitches for Paradise Lost, but they've been informed that the project is dead. Paradise Lost is dead, will not be happening as a TV show, and not dead in the sense of like, well, they're just going to wait for a script. And no, apparently they're being told, these writers and these people who've pitched projects, pitched storylines for Paradise Lost to be the showrunners or the writers on Paradise Lost, they've been told that this project is now dead, no longer in active development, dead. And that is a massive bit of news because I think a lot of people felt that it was a little weird that you were going to do a Themis.
Okay, so yeah, I just don't understand what the point of that whole DC slate announcement was. Well, I mean, I guess I can speculate on what the point was. It was probably a thing for shareholders. It was probably a thing that, the studio was like, oh, you gotta prove to us that there's excitement for your DC properties, and so I guess James Gunn did that whole slate, and he was able to show David Zaslav or whatever, hey, look, there's legitimate excitement for my DC universe. I mean, I guess I can understand all of that, but at the end of the day, let me see if I can remember all the projects that were on that slate. It was like, I think it started off with Creature Commandos, if I'm remembering right. That obviously came out. Then there was Superman. That obviously came out. Supergirl, that came out. But then you have stuff like Waller, which is probably never happening. The Authority is probably never happening. Brave and the Bold is probably happening. Well, I mean, there has to be a Batman movie at some point, or at the very least, Robert Pattinson has to be the DCU Batman. But who knows if that's going to be in the iteration that it was announced in, right, where it's a Damian Wayne story. That could possibly change. Swamp Thing, that project feels like it's up in the air. Booster Gold, that feels like it's up in the air. What else is there? I don't know. There's probably stuff that I'm not remembering. But just in general, it's just like, it just does not seem smart to do this weird slate announcements. And it's odd. I do find it a little odd. I must admit that they didn't realize that at the time. Like, even by that point, I feel like it was common knowledge that you shouldn't do these slate announcements when you don't know that all of this stuff is going to happen and it's just going to lead to disappointment. Because if it had just been reported that there was a Paradise Lost show happening, we would have gone, oh, that sounds exciting. But then now, when it's canceled, like, nobody's going to be disappointed. You're not going to look bad because that's just normal development. Things start being made, then they kind of realize that they just don't have a good grasp on it, on the idea and the execution, so it gets canceled. That's not that big of a deal. But either way, I'm not like super bummed out, but I always thought it could have been an interesting idea. Like, I'm not too familiar with Wonder Woman lore, so I don't know how big of an island Themyscira is, and if there are like different societies on it, and if it would have made a ton of sense to make a Game of Thrones show. But I mean, the Amazonians are just cool, and so I definitely would have been interested in a show about them. But alas, it's not happening, apparently. All right, let's move on to the next story. So Deadline confirmed something that we all kind of assumed, but I guess it's interesting that is now officially confirmed that Isabella Merced is going to be back as Hawkgirl in Man of Tomorrow. So they kind of put this. It was a little bit hidden. Let me actually see if I can fix this here a little bit. Sorry. Listen, it's live. So we got to do some of this stuff on the fly. Okay, there we go. Merced recently starred as Hawkgirl in Superman from director James Gunn and will reprise the role in the upcoming Man of Tomorrow. She starred in season 2 of The Last of Us and is set to return for season 3. So, yeah, I don't think that this was like confirmed to be honest with you, but I think we all just kind of assumed that the Justice Gang was going to be back for Man of Tomorrow. But now this is at least confirming that Isabella Merced is going to be back. And I don't know, I definitely want to see more of the character. I want to see actual consequences for her killing the president of Baravia. I think that was the name of the country. Yeah, it was Baravia. Like, hopefully that has consequences and she's like in prison or something. Maybe she gets thrown into the portal dimension thing that Peacemaker got thrown into at the end of Peacemaker season 2. So yeah, I mean, it obviously makes sense that she'll be back for Man of Tomorrow. And I mean, listen, I'm gonna be real with you, dog. I'll watch Isabella Merced in anything, quite frankly. So, hey, there was in no universe was this gonna be bad news for me. But yeah, I am curious to see, like, are they gonna like I wonder where else we could possibly see Hawkgirl, right? Because would she show up in Lanterns? I mean, you know, there's obviously the relationship between Jon Stewart and Hawkgirl in like the animated series, but I don't know that it would make. I don't know that they would have her be in Lanterns. At the very least, I doubt they would have her be like a main character. It's like, would they wait to do all of that if they are going to do that until like a Justice League movie? That might make sense. So, I don't know. We'll see. But either way, get excited, guys. Get excited. Isabella Merced. More Isabella Merced in our lives. Who? It's not a bad thing by any means. All right, next up. We got a rumor. Just very, very much emphasis on the rumor. So, this is coming from the Cosmic Circus, and this guy is basically talking about how there's probably potentially going to be a crossover team-up event between Spider-Man and it looks like some of the Defenders characters. So let's read this part of their like newsletter thing. So he's talking about Daredevil and Devil's Reign. So this is like a Q&A situation. So somebody asks the Scooper guy, Alex Perez, "Hello, Alex. Will the Devil's Reign storyline conclusion be under a Spider-Man movie title or a crossover team-up event?" Alex Perez says, "This is an excellently timed question because I get to tell you about a recent rumor that has me excited for the next saga. I have heard the idea thrown around for the upcoming saga to feature a crossover team-up film that would serve as the epilogue of the Devil's Reign storyline that technically started all the way back in Hawkeye with the appearance of Wilson Fisk." So he's basically saying that he's heard that Marvel might be gearing up to essentially, it seems like, have a Spider-Man movie that serves as a Defenders movie in some senses. That you would assume that in that movie we're going to have Daredevil and Wilson Fisk and potentially Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and all that stuff. And, you know, I don't know if I buy that, frankly, because it seems like Marvel wouldn't want to do something like that after what happened with the Marvels, where you had the movie with a movie character in Captain Marvel, and you brought on TV show characters like Miss Marvel and Photon, and that obviously went the way it did. But I I would personally argue that the main reason why that movie flopped was because it was bad and the marketing didn't look great. And word of mouth then got around, so the movie didn't have good legs. And, you know, it had to come after a bunch of disappointing MCU stuff. Like, a lot of people blame the failure of that movie on it having a bunch of baggage of people needing to have watched TV shows in order to watch them. But it's like, I don't know. I just don't know if I buy into that whole narrative, because there are people out there that only watch Avengers movies. Those people do exist. Just judging by the box office, you know that those people have to exist. So I don't know that if the Marvels was a more appealing movie, I don't know that there's that many people that would have gone, oh, but I haven't seen Miss Marvel and I haven't seen WandaVision, so I'm not watching it. And so I say all this to say that I kind of would like it if the lesson that Marvel took from all of this is that you shouldn't have like TV show characters appearing in the movies, because I feel like that can work. And we're actually, I mean, now that we say this, we're kind of seeing that in Spider-Man Brand New Day, because Frank Castle's played by John Bernthal is going to be a prominent part of that movie, it seems like. And if Marvel really is learning the lesson of, oh, shouldn't have TV show characters in movies because of baggage, then it would really make no sense for John Bernthal to be in Spider-Man Brand New Day, because that technically has the baggage of one season of the original run on Netflix for Daredevil, 2 seasons of his own TV show, and then another season of Daredevil and Daredevil Born Again. Like, if that is the lesson that Marvel learned from the Marvels, then Spider-Man Brand New Day doesn't really make any sense. So I guess I say all this to say that I don't know that I buy into this report, just because, I don't know, the Cosmic Circus, it's not an outlet that I follow, and I haven't really kept track of how reliable they are, so I'm just not putting too much stock into it. It's not one of the major trades. But I know some people might dismiss it because they're like, oh, no. They've said that they're moving away from integrating TV show characters into the movies and all that. But they really haven't, because they're making Spider-Man Brand New Day, and that goes directly against that notion. So we'll see. Listen, I would love to get like a movie where Spider-Man is teaming up with Daredevil and whatnot. I feel like that could be really cool. Maybe we wouldn't want to overstuff a Daredevil movie by having like all the Defenders necessarily, but at least just Spider-Man and Daredevil teaming up to fight Kingpin. That could be cool. And I gotta say this too. It's gonna feel really weird in Daredevil Season 2 when Spider-Man isn't in it. Because if the whole premise of Daredevil Season 2 is that Wilson Fisk is cracking down on superheroes, and the most prominent New York superhero, Spider-Man, isn't involved, that's going to feel really weird and out of place. Now, I understand it, right? They're not going to be able to afford to get Tom Holland into a TV show, or at the very least, Marvel. I just highly doubt that Marvel would waste one of Tom Holland's appearances under his new contract on a Disney Plus show. I just don't think they're going to do that. But from a narrative perspective, it would make sense for Spider-Man to show up in Daredevil Season 2. So, hey, maybe they can extend this whole storyline all the way into the next Spider-Man movie after Brand New Day. That would be cool. We'll see if it actually ends up happening. All right, next story. We got some Supergirl test screening details. So I'll read through these, and then I'll give you my thoughts on test screenings. So, according to @AxelTalksFilm, the cinematography is an upgrade compared to Superman's, and there is an action-packed hallway scene that's said to be as good as those seen in Daredevil and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Supergirl also has a darker tone than Superman, with a story that focuses on human trafficking and a lot more violence. Overall, though, there's said to be a perfect balance of humor, darkness, and lightness. Other interesting tidbits include the redesigned Creme of the Yellow Hills being extremely menacing and a tremendous villain. Meanwhile, Jason Momoa's Lobo is said to have a substantial role that's crucial to the ending. Trusted source at Cryptic 4K quality also has weighed in to say this matches what they've been told, but noted that two separate sources called Creme lame and underwhelming. The insider later added, it's basically bits of Superman 2025, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Logan, Man of Steel, and The Last of Us mashed into one film without the R-rated elements. Whoever's seen it would probably understand my film choices. Crypto is Rocket, Kara is Joel / Logan. So, listen, I figured I would talk about it just because it is news and other people cover it, and so I don't want to like dig my head in the sand and not cover news that is prominent. I just kind of don't care that much about test screening reports because, like, we don't know what version of the movie these people are watching, right? Movies are constantly being edited. Different versions get test screened in order to test for certain things. So it's like, if there's a super positive test screening, well, I don't know that at the end of the day, I'm going to watch the movie that was test screened for them. If a movie was super negative, well, I don't know that I'm going to watch the same movie that was test screened as them. Like, is all the CGI done? Because maybe a super negative test screening happens, and one of the reasons why it doesn't quite work for them is because all the emotional scenes with Crypto, it's just Millie Alcock looking at a tennis ball. Like, I don't know, it's Millie Alcock looking at Sean Gunn crawling around on all fours. It's like, I don't know. I just don't put that much stock in test screening stuff. Like, I kind of just wait until like actual critics are watching the final cut of the movie and they are telling me they're reviewing what the movie that I know for a fact that I'm going to see. But there are definitely some interesting stuff in here, right? Like, apparently, yeah, there's going to be a hallway scene. I mean, I always like those, so I'm not mad about that. They're talking about human trafficking and a lot more violence, so that is something that I think they should highlight in the next trailer. Is that if this movie is going to have a much more serious tone than Superman, I think they should make a more seriously toned trailer, because I do think that the nature of that first trailer was very like fun. It felt very Guardians-y. And you know that rubbed some people the wrong way. And if there is a trailer that can be cut that is a lot more serious and it explains some of the story a little bit more, because that's the other reason why I think I'm more excited about this movie than some of the people that have only watched the trailer and that haven't read Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. I kind of know more about what's coming, and I know more about the stakes of the story and what it's really about. And so I feel like that is probably influencing my excitement for it. And I feel like if they revealed some of that stuff in another trailer, then I think that people might have more of a warm reception to it. But we'll see. Yeah, and all those like movie descriptions of like Logan and Man of Steel and Last of Us. It's like, yeah, I can totally see all of elements of all of those things being present in the movie. Again, because I've read the comic book Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. So overall, I'm excited for Supergirl. I think it's probably going to be really solid. I have little reason to doubt it. But I definitely think that they could do a better job with the marketing, because I don't think that trailer was as good as it needed to be, and I feel like it should be like they should release a darker, more serious trailer. Is my take. Anyways, let me know what you think. All right. Next up is the title story. It looks like Steve Rogers is going to play a central role in the MCU moving forward. So, the Russo brothers had an interview with Empire, and they said this. Explaining the decision to bring Cap back, Anthony Russo said, "We have a special affinity with the character. We can't see this narrative without his central role in it. Basically, the special place he holds among the ensemble he sort of retains that moving forward. So that's obviously the line that people are curious about, right? When it says that he's retaining a special place in the ensemble moving forward. So we all obviously figured that he would be like one of the main characters in Doomsday. What do they mean by moving forward? Is he saying that he's one of the main characters in Doomsday and Secret Wars? Or has Chris Evans like signed another 10 picture deal and we're going to see him as a central figure like past Secret Wars in whatever the next phase of the MCU is, which is probably going to be the Mutant Saga. I don't know. I'm very mixed on all of this because look, I love Chris Evans. I love him as Steve Rogers, but if you want to bring back Steve Rogers as Captain America, I wouldn't begrudge it. Like, I also like Sam Wilson. I also like Anthony Mackie, and I do feel like he's been given a raw deal. Like, you know, they just handled him taking up the mantle so poorly, right? They were like, "Hey, after after Steve gave him the shield in Endgame, what should we do next? Oh, I know. Let's make him a TV show character." It's like, really? Oh, what do we do after that? Should we should we put him should we make an Avengers movie like quickly after that so that we can highlight all of these characters that we just introduced? No. We're just not going to make an Avengers movie. we're just not going to try and emulate what we did in Phase 1 and end with an Avengers movie that brings in all the new heroes. Like, we're not going to do any of that. No. We're going to wait like what, 4 or 5 years or whatever, and just make a Captain America movie with what you've essentially turned into a TV show character. And that season came out like 4 years ago. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the timeline specifically, but it's like, and then not only do you just randomly make this movie, it's like it's a bad movie. It's not even a good movie. And so I do feel bad for Anthony Mackie, but at the end of the day, the business is what the business is. And if you're Marvel and when you're in the rough spot that you're in, I could understand wanting to bring back Steve Rogers. But I would almost rather they recast the role. I would almost rather, after Secret Wars, you recast Iron Man. Because let me pitch this here real quick. How cool would it be if after Secret Wars, we continued on with some of our newer characters, right? Like, you can continue on with the current cast of the Fantastic Four. You can continue on with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. You obviously they're going to recast a bunch of X-Men characters. How cool would it be if we had a recasted Steve Rogers and a recasted Tony Stark, maybe a recasted Thor, although who knows, maybe Chris Hemsworth might want to play that role for another 10 years or so. Maybe recast Hulk and all that. And we finally get the dream, you know? We finally get the dream of a living, breathing Marvel Cinematic Universe where we have movies with Spider-Man, movies with the X-Men, movies with Captain America, movies with Iron Man, and they're crossing over all over the place. That would be really cool. Like, if you really want to bring Steve Rogers back, I would say just recast it. But I don't know. Maybe Chris Evans does want to sign another 10 picture deal. And maybe he does want to come back. But then the other thing is if you are gonna bring Steve Rogers back, don't do the goofy, like, I don't know, like, don't just have Steve Rogers. See, I don't know. Like, it feels like it would be awkward if they were to bring back Steve Rogers, have him be a central character in the MCU moving forward, but then Sam still has the shield and he's technically Captain America, but you just have Steve Rogers hanging around like, Sam isn't cool enough to hold the fort on his own, so he needs Steve Rogers by his side. It's like, that would be so awkward. So I don't know, man. This is going to be such a huge juggling act because there's really no getting around it, right? Like bringing Steve Rogers back would undermine Sam Wilson. No matter, it doesn't matter how you do it. Like it is going to inherently be undermined. So I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. Listen, I don't begrudge them. It's a business decision. They're bringing back Chris Evans. They're bringing back Robert Downey Jr. Is it desperate? Yes. But is it also probably going to result in, an Avengers Doomsday movie that makes $2 billion? Yeah, probably. People are going to be, as much as I'm not all that excited about it, general audiences are going to be excited to see Chris Evans, teaming up with Patrick Stewart, Magneto, and Robert Downey Jr. interacting with Sir Ian McKellen as Magneto. Like, general audiences are going to be excited about it. So I respect the decision. I understand why you're doing it. I just feel like no matter which way you do it, it's going to be awkward for what you currently have established. But anyways, let's move on to the next story. Looks like Claire Temple might be returning to the MCU. So it says here, this is coming from newsbreak.com. According to a new rumor, Rosario Dawson will reportedly reprise her role of Claire Temple in the next season of Daredevil Born Again. This rumor comes from notable industry insider Daniel Richtman. He revealed on Patreon that the Ahsoka star was reportedly having discussions with Marvel Studios about returning as the character. The above rumor comes 2 months after Richtman shared on Patreon that Dawson's Temple would reportedly appear in Spider-Man Brand New Day. So, not coming from any of the major trades, coming from Daniel Richtman, so take it with a grain of salt. But would I like to see Rosario Dawson come back? Sure. That really is one of those characters where it's like, I don't need them to come back, but like, would I point at the screen and go, oh, I know who that is, if I saw them come back in Spider-Man Brand New Day or in Daredevil Born Again Season 2? It's like, yeah, why not? And she's also a character that could totally work in whatever medium or what, like whether it's in a movie or a TV show. It's like she could totally just appear in literally like any in any Marvel project, big or small, because she's just a nurse. And she could be patching up Spider-Man. She could be patching up Daredevil. She could be patching up, I don't know, Chris Pratt as Star-Lord. She's a character that could totally kind of just fit anywhere. Well, obviously, it would have to be terrestrial. And who doesn't love Rosario Dawson? You're weird if you don't like Rosario Dawson, frankly. So there we go. All right, next story. It looks like Skeleton Crew, that Star Wars show that nobody watched, it might have some life. So, according to Production Weekly, it says it's reported here in Yahoo Entertainment. As revealed in Production Weekly, which updates the industry on movements in Hollywood and beyond, Skeleton Crew Season 2 is in development. So, they kind of mentioned there, I was trying to look into Production Weekly. Apparently, if something is like in Production Weekly, it's not like it's not like an assurance of this is definitely happening, but like this does kind of reveal that Skeleton Crew is not completely dead in the water. Disney is considering a season 2 for the show, and that's obviously surprising because I mean, I probably should have tried to look up like actual numbers on it, but it doesn't feel like anybody was watching that show. I mean, there was like no conversation around it. Like even The Acolyte, it was like people were definitely hate watching The Acolyte. It felt like nobody was hate watching Skeleton Crew, and I thought it was pretty cute. Like it was not great. It was no Andor, but it also was not an Acolyte. It also was not an Obi-Wan. It was a fun show, and I would definitely watch a season 2. And so I hope it happens, but don't take this as confirmation that it is happening. just take it as confirmation that it's not completely dead. It's possible. All right. Now we're gonna go back to John Roca's channel. So him on his Hot Mic podcast that he does with Jeff Schneider. Jeff Schneider broke a little Scooby Scoop about the Batman Part 2. So let's give this a watch.
Or maybe it was for my birthday. Got a little birthday tip, but I heard who was offered the role of Christopher Dent.
Ooh, in the Batman Part 2.
Batman. But apparently they passed.
Oh,
So it's not going to work out. And this person is a future Oscar winner. And I say that predicting that Stellan Skarsgård is going to
whoa.
win the Oscar because he is the one who passed.
Wow.
Um,
Stellan Skarsgård was going to be Christopher.
Stellan Skarsgård.
Well, if the rumors are Brad Pitt was apparently in the running, how do you make?
So yeah, Jeff Snyder is reporting that Stellan Skarsgård was going to be, or was approached, I guess, to play Christopher Dent. I mean, that's interesting news. Because, like, it really does seem like Christopher Dent is going to play like a pivotal role in the Batman Part 2, and that the Batman Part 2 is going to be very Dent focused. And it's such an interesting move, right? Because, I mean, you're gonna draw the Dark Knight comparisons, right? Like, if Two-Face ends up being like the villain of the movie, that is inherently going to draw Dark Knight comparisons. But at the end of the day, I highly doubt that Matt Reeves is gonna write a movie that is just the Dark Knight again. So, you know, we're probably still not gonna see Joker play a super big role in the movie with Christopher Dent being a major character. That obviously indicates that we're going to get a lot more backstory on Harvey Dent, and it is going to explore areas of the character that wasn't explored in The Dark Knight. So it is interesting because it's like some Dark Knight comparisons are kind of stacking up. But I don't know. At the end of the day, I highly doubt that Matt Reeves is going to make a samey movie into The Dark Knight. Especially if, like, other, you know, rumors are true where it's like, I don't know, Court of Owls is a part of it. Who knows? I will make this prediction. I don't think that Two-Face is going to end up being, like, the main villain of the Batman Part 2. That is a prediction that I'll make. I think that we might see him... Like, honestly, what would be super cool is that if we didn't even see him turn into Two-Face in this movie. And that is something that was left for, like, the third movie, and we really got to see Sebastian Stan's, like, character arc throughout this trilogy, or however many movies Matt Reeves wants to make over the 85 years that it'll take him to get through all of them. But yeah, honestly, so kind of surprising that Stellan Skarsgård would pass up this role. Like, don't get me wrong, he's amazing, but he's not, like, the hottest actor in Hollywood. That's surprising to me. Like, it's not like he's opposed to starring in genre movies. Like, he was in the Thor movies. he was in Andor. It's like, you would think that the Batman Part 2 directed by Matt Reeves would be appealing to him, but I guess not. So yeah, that's kind of a knock on Matt Reeves in the movie, unfortunately, that it seems like Brad Pitt and Stellan Skarsgård have passed on the film. Although interesting that both Brad Pitt and Stellan Skarsgård were in the running for the same role. Like, how old is this role supposed to be? Let me see. Brad Pitt age. How old is this? How old is this man? Looks like he's 62. And then how old is Stellan Skarsgård? Skarsgård. He's 74. So I mean they're a decade apart, I guess. But honestly, listen. I also can't really buy I don't know that Brad Pitt is Sebastian Stan's father. I mean, I guess he could be, like, because what is Sebastian Stan? He's like, I'm assuming he's in his 40s, right? see what's Sebastian Stan. What's his age? He's 43. I mean, maybe. But also, let's be real, just visually, we'll just say that Brad Pitt is aging pretty well. But either way, kind of a bummer that Stellan Skarsgård isn't going to be in the Batman Part 2. If they approached him, I frankly, I think that's a mistake on his part. But who am I to give Stellan Skarsgård career advice? But either way, let's get into our last story of the day. They announced a John Wick game. That's not a thing that I was expecting, but during the PlayStation State of Play, they showed off this trailer here. So this is a CGI cutscene, but we didn't know exactly what it was at first. At first, I thought it might have been like a Batman game, but I was like... But then at some point, I realized... It was here, when we started seeing the fighting, that I realized it was John Wick. Like, you really do have to give Keanu Reeves and Chad Stahelski credit, because just the way that John Wick moves and the way that he fights is iconic. Like, just seeing the way that he throws his punches, the way that he, like, grabs people's wrists and, like, throws them to the ground. It's like, you just see that and you're like, oh, that's John Wick. You know, the way that he like flicks his wrist to empty his, like, the gun cartridges. It's like, they've done such a stellar job of creating an iconic action hero. Yeah, the way that he blocks the bullets and stuff, it's cool. But anyways, this is like a cutscene. They also showed off some gameplay, so I'll play some of that here. So this obviously looks a little less good in terms of the fidelity. But I mean, this should be great. Like, there's no reason why a John Wick video game shouldn't be great. And quite frankly, just copy the Sifu gameplay. Like, dude, Sifu has the best, like, melee combat in any game ever. That is, I guess, a hot take that I'm dropping here. I absolutely love it. And I feel like a John Wick game should just feel like Sifu. By the way, I feel that way about Daredevil too. Like, I would murder a man in order to get a Daredevil game by Slow Clap, the Sifu developers. That would be so good. That just makes so much sense. But a man can only dream. Gosh, you guys don't know how excited I would be if at one of these game showcases you just see Daredevil trailer and then it's a Slow Clap. Oh my god. You guys don't understand. But either way, that's going to be it for this episode of Nerdy Movie News Roundup. Shorter episode today, but covered everything that I needed to cover. And why delay the inevitable, which is the end of the show. So let me know what you thought about anything and everything that I talked about today in the comments down below. And I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.